Behind all of the queries that we've constructed in this course is a language called SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language, and at any point in the design of a query in Design View, you can switch your view to see the code that is being written in this language. While almost all of the queries that you'll need to create can be created with the Design View, I think it's a valuable exercise to review the SQL code periodically and get used to its syntax. Most database systems on the market today, in addition to Access, use similar syntax in their query languages, and knowing SQL is a highly marketable skill. Let's go ahead and start exploring SQL by creating a new query in Design View. I'm going to go ahead and add in our customers table and close the show table window. I'm going to start a really simple query here. I'm just going to double-click on first name and double-click on last name. If I run the query, I'll see that I'm just extracting the first name and last name columns from my customers table. Let's go ahead and switch into SQL View to see the code of how this query is working. Here I can see that we have two lines. First, it has this select clause here that tells me which fields I'm pulling out. It says that I'm going to select the first name from the customers table and the last name from the customers table. The table name and the field name are separated by a period, and the fields are separated by a comma here. The next line says from, and this is our from clause. It's telling us which tables we're pulling information from. In this case, just the customers table. Finally, the query is ended with a semicolon. So this is a complete query in SQL View, and now you can see why queries are so efficient. All we need to do is store these simple 2 lines of instructions to pull out all of that information from the employees table. Let's go back into Design View and start adding on a few components. Let's go ahead and switch back into Design View. And because I'm in SQL View, I'll have to use the bottom half of this View button to get into the Design View icon. Let's go ahead and add a criteria down here to our first name. I'm going to click in the criteria box and look for all of the customers with the first name of Jordan, Jordan. I'll go ahead and view the changes in SQL View here, and we'll see that we get a new line here. Now we have a where clause. Now it's saying we're selecting the same first name and last name from our customers table, where, in this case this is our condition, the first name is equal to Jordan. This is how our criteria get put into SQL. Let's go ahead and switch back into Design View. If we change our criteria here to use a wildcard operator, for instance, I'm interested in all of the customers whose first name just starts with a J, I'll type in J asterisk and press enter. Access fills in the like operator here and wraps quotation marks around that. If we switch our view back into SQL View, we'll see that change. Here our where clause is changed to find just the first names that are like J asterisk. So we can see that the syntax that we type into our criteria row gets translated directly into this where clause in SQL View. Let's go ahead and switch our view back. Let's apply a couple of aliases to our first name and last name fields. I'll come over here to the very beginning of the word first name and I'll click, and I'm just going to type in the word first, followed by a colon. That'll rename our column headers. We'll do the same thing for our last name. I'll click at the very beginning and I'll just write in the word last, followed by a colon. Now if I run this query, we'll see the results in our data sheet where our columns are now named just first and last instead of first name and last name. Let's see how that change is applied in SQL View. Now at the very top in this select statement here, it's still selecting the first name column from the customers table, but now we redefine it by using this as keyword. It's saying select the first name from the customers table, and we're going to call it first. Then it's going to say select the last name from the customers table, but we're going to call it as last. The from clause and the where clause haven't changed. Let's go ahead and go to Design View and make one more change. I'll switch my view back to Design View, and this time I want to add a sort. I want to sort my customers alphabetically, so I'm going to choose Sort Ascending. Let's go ahead and go back into SQL View to see that change. Here we get a new line at the bottom. Now it says order by customers.firstname. Because we chose ascending and that's the default option, it didn't tell us how we're going to order it. It just says that we're ordering it by first name, which by default is going to be ascending. If I change my view here and go back into Design View and change this to descending, and once again view it in SQL View, we'll see that we get a new operator here, DESC, to indicate that we're ordering by the first name, descending in this case. Now we could make changes here in SQL View to our code, and this will affect the way the query works. Access tends to be a little bit generous with its application of parentheses and square brackets here in SQL View. And sometimes we can go through and clean up the code a little bit and make it even more succinct. For instance, I've got extra pairs of parentheses around this where clause. I can actually get rid of at least one of them here. I'll subtract the one from the beginning and one from the end. We can also see the application of square brackets around this word first here and this word last. Now, any fields that don't have spaces or special characters in them technically don't need to have square brackets around them, but oftentimes you'll see them written this way. We can go ahead and remove these square brackets, as they're not technically needed. I'll delete the one after first and the one before first as well. So this is what a basic select query looks like when we're only using one table. Let's go ahead and go back into Design View, and we'll add another table to our query design. I'm going to go up to this ribbon and choose the Show Table to bring up the Show Table window, and this time we're going to add in the States table. This will add in the related information from our customers table to the States table. And I'm going to add in our state name that's related to our customers. If I switch back into SQL View, you will see a bunch of changes. We're still selecting the first name from the customers table as first, the last name from the customers table as last. Now we're selecting also the state name from the States table. The From line is also changed. It's telling me we're selecting from the States table, and we're inner joining that to the customers table. So this is where that join occurs. It's also telling us which fields are related. We have this onward here, and it says states.state abbreviation is equal to customers.state. This is how those two tables relate to one another. Now, just like we renamed our column aliases with the word as, we can actually rename our tables as well. Sometimes when you're reading professional SQL code, you'll see this technique. Let's go ahead and change the states here to states as. I'll write in the word as, and then I'll just type in the letter S. So we're going to rename our states table to the letter S. Here we can go over here and say customers as C. Now we have a shorthand way of referring to both our states table and our customers table. So anywhere we see a reference to either of those tables, we can just put in the letters S or C. So up here at the top, I'm going to say select C.firstname. That's first name in our customers table as first. I'm going to change this customers here to just C. So C.lastname and S.statename. From states as S, inner join customers as C. On states.abbreviation, I'll change that to S.state abbreviation, and I'll change customers to C.state. Finally, down here, I'll change this word customers to just C. C.firstname is like J asterisk, and we're going to order by customers.firstname. We'll change this reference from the customers table to our newly renamed C table. Now this query should still return the expected results. If I run it, we get the first name and the last name and the state name, just like we did before. But if I go back into Design View, here, we'll see that our table aliases have been changed. So now the table is referred to as S and C. So that's a brief introduction to how the structured query language works. In the next movie, we're going to write out our own query in SQL.